Your ears do not deceive you. You have just entered the Cryptid Creator Corner, brought to you by your friends at Comic Book Yeti. So without further ado, let's get on to the interview.
Do you love sci-fi? Are you a horror fan? Maybe you prefer action or fantasy. 2000 AD has it all and should be on your radar, with a whole universe of characters from Judge Dredd and Strontium Dog to Rogue Trooper, Shakara Halo Jones, and many more. Every weekly issue, you get 5 action-packed thrills from incredible creators such as Garth Ennis, Rob Williams, Alex DeCampi, Dan Abnett, and so many others. Get a print subscription and it'll arrive to your door every week. And your first issue is free, or subscribe digitally. Get free back issues and download DRM-free copies of every issue for just $9 a month. That's 128 pages of incredible comics every month for less than $10. That's like a whole graphic novel's worth. All subscribers get amazing offers like discount vouchers and exclusive product offers. Head to 2000ad.com and click on subscribe now, or download the 2000AD app. And why wait? Start reading today. I'll put links in the show notes for you.
Hello and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and I have a returning guest. Frankee White is back on the podcast, and we're going to talk about Who Killed Sarah Shaw. We are going to talk about what I think is a follow-up to Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood. I Just Came From Hell. Frankee also has a short in a new anthology, Horror Not Hate. We have lots to talk about. So, Frankee, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for introducing me so I don't have to remember everything that I'm talking about.
No worries. I have no problems doing that, as a reminder, if nothing else, so you can remember all those things that you've actually done. Well, let's kind of jump right into talking about some of this stuff. And I know I mentioned some of the things that you have coming out that I want to talk about, but I want to chat a little bit about Who Killed Sarah Shaw. And I know it's a visual medium, so sorry, podcast listeners, but I was just holding up and showing Frankee that I do have my hardcover of Who Killed Sarah Shaw. It's a absolutely gorgeous book. You and Adam Markiewicz. The story initially came out through Patreon, and I think then you kickstarted the graphic novel. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so we initially ran it through Adam's Patreon. Throughout his Patreon, he's done a variety of different things, pinups, shorts, other long-form stuff, and this long-form comic with another writer. And I was like, hey, well, if you ever finish this up and you want to do something new, I mean, I've worked up with him now on Broken Bear, Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, Who Killed Sarah Shaw, our new project, I Just Came From Hell. He's kind of like my soulmate creator partner. Like, I love working with him on everything. Like, I don't need to, give too much direction, and vice versa. Like, we can feed off of each other, which is really great. But it started through his Patreon. We ran it for, I think it went 2 years almost or something like that through his Patreon. And then once we wrapped that, we partnered with Dauntless, who had published Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood. They ran the Kickstarter for us, thankfully, because running a Kickstarter is very, very difficult and challenging. So they ran that. So it's published through Dauntless Stories. And and now the physical copy's out, and shortly in the near future, we're supposed to be hitting bookstores and everything like that, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everything like that, which I'm excited for.
Oh, that's awesome. And Adam has just joined us.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Listeners, Adam Markiewicz has joined us on the podcast as well. So we have Frankee and Adam. Adam, I think this is your first time on this podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You the two of you have done a ton of stuff together. I think the first thing I ever read was Broken Bear, which I love. I loved Broken Bear. I think somebody had recommended it to me when I, knowing that I was just starting to do stuff with Comic Book Yeti and checking out more indie comics, and someone, I think you'd like Broken Bear. I cannot remember who it was, but they did me a great service, because Broken Bear was one of those things where you just I had no expectations going in. I mean, I love indie comics. They can be great. They can be, okay. It's just like anything. So I went in with no expectations. I thought Broken Bear was like one of the best things that I had read. Just absolutely fell in love with the characters, loved the story, loved the art. Just thought it was tremendous. And then totally blown away in a completely different way, because it's so different with Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, which, as somebody who is no longer a practicing Catholic, but went through 16 years of Catholic education, grade school, high school, and college. Yeah, I was a lot, but one hell, I guess, no pun intended, of a comic.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, that's great to hear it. Kudos and thank you to whoever recommended Broken Bear to you in the first place. Whoever you are, thank you. Word of mouth, right, is the lifeblood for indie comics. So whoever that was, you're doing the Lord's work.
Well, so let's talk about Who Killed Sarah Shaw. First off, before we get into like any of the story stuff, I'm just curious, what did you think of doing it that way, in terms of releasing it on the Patreon and then kind of packaging everything together to hopefully get out to maybe a wider audience? How did you feel that worked as kind of a delivery system for the comic?
Well, I can say that, at least on my end, when I came up with the idea, I was basically waiting for Adam to become free to work on it. And seeing that he had done other stuff like Into the End Zone on his Patreon, I was like, all right, he's already got people that follow him that can expect to see comics, actual comics through the platform. I had done web comics in the past, a web comic called Wolf on Vacation that I ran through Tumblr back in the day, aging myself. And, web comics just have a great system built into them where you are able to, put the work out immediately and get immediate feedback, hopefully, from your audience as they're reading it, as they're looking into it, and following along, and continue to grow that fan base as you grow, as opposed to working in silence, quietly, kind of toiling away. Making a comic book takes a really long time to do it. Like if we had done Who Killed Sarah Shaw without doing it via Patreon, probably would have taken us the same amount of time it did take, like 2 years. And during that time, I would have had to have sat there on my hands or twiddling my thumbs, not being able to share it, which is a nightmare for me. Because as soon as Adam ever finishes a page and sends me something, I immediately want to post it on the internet and let people see it. So for me, working with Patreon and, working through Adam's Patreon and working with him on it was like a dream come true, because it gets to satisfy my desire to have immediate gratification, right, of getting the thing done and putting it out there, but then also allowing it to grow and build and hopefully add more readers as you go and get them involved in the mystery. And with it being a mystery story, it works really well in the webcomic format because you're hopefully hooking the readers and taking them along with you.
Yeah,
I
Adam,
mean,
in terms of, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, part of the appeal of it for me is I had this idea. I've had this anytime I've tried to do a web comic of, if I do a page or 2 pages a week, these will be like the best pages I could possibly do because I can spend so much time on them. And it never works out that way. Other than that, it's basically everything Frankee said of having the immediate response and all that. But it seemed like a good idea for a perfectionist. It doesn't work out that way ever. So
I think it worked out that way because it's probably, I mean, to me, that will, you can speak for yourself, Adam, but it's my favorite thing you've ever drawn. And I think you do. There are some pages in there where, like, at the time when I got them, like, this is the best thing he's ever drawn. Like this, like, and I think as you go through that book, and I don't know, a lot of comics are like that, but I think in some books, and especially like with Who Killed Sarah Shaw, you can see the growth throughout the book, like from chapter 1 to chapter 5, like trying new things, getting better and better as you go, because it wasn't something that we made, 2 months or 3 months or something, where your skill level might be the exact same throughout the thing. And writing it too, for me, like I felt like my writing got stronger and stronger as it went on, because again, it was a process. Like you said, you're taking time to deliver the pages versus trying to get it done, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Adam, why do you say that it never worked out that way? That you thought it would be like the best 1 or 2 pages you did that week? Is it because you feel like you never have enough time to make it perfect, or some other reason?
Well, if anything, what I've learned is that that kind of perfectionism just works against you. You just, because all you do is you sit there, oh, I can fix this, and eventually you end up with kind of a dead page. But it never really, I always was kind of had my back to the wall working on that one. I never really got a good cushion of pages. So I never, but even then, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been, and I agree with Frankie. Actually, when I look at the book as a whole, I can, from beginning to end, I can see a progression. I can see where I figured this out and this started to work out better. And so it is what it is. It's just how it is with any book where I want to be able to take as much time on a page, and then I realize it doesn't matter. I could take a month or a day and it's going to probably end up about the same, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I just made a nonsensical ramble there.
No, Adam, I mean, I
No.
agree with you on that. And I think we similar like minds where Adam will send me a page and be like, I think this panel looks, not up to par. I'm like, no, it's fine. Let's keep moving. And there are sometimes I'll send Adam like a panel script and I'll be like, all right, what do you think about this line versus this line? And it's basically like choosing between the or a, like in a sentence, like what's the like the difference is minimal. We're trying to just like get it distilled.
Yeah.
I will say, reading the hardcover that I have of Who Killed Sarah Shaw, like the overarching thing that sticks out to me, or if I had to, use an adjective to, I guess, to describe the storytelling, both narratively, both in the visuals, is like confidence. I mean, I feel like there could be a real tendency to do a lot of different things with something like Who Killed Sarah Shaw, but I mean, it feels like there's not like a wasted panel, wasted moment. I just feel like there's a lot of strong choices made in it. In particular, a lot of the panels that you've done and the artwork that you've done, Adam, that just shows like a real grasp of how you wanted to lay it all out. And maybe that's not at all how it went as you were doing a page or two at a time, but that's how it comes across as like, oh, this person who put this together, they knew exactly what they wanted to do and what every panel wanted to look like, because it feels like there's nothing extra in it. It is like lean and mean, and the pacing is fantastic for this kind of mystery as it, as Jess and Dave investigate it.
Thank you. I don't know if I say it's confidence. I think I do go in with like a specific, visually there's something I want to do with it. A lot of it is really just, I work very hard on it. And that's not saying like people, I'm just saying like I have very high standards for myself and I work to meet those standards.
And that's true.
I mean, it shows on the page.
There's a lot of times where I will have to say like, Adam, this page is good. We can go. Let's go. But Adam, you said something earlier, and I think it's true too. Like, you said you didn't have a big cushion on it. And, I think that leads to like this sort of mentality while you're making it. And I was the same way with scripting it. Like, I always, when I talk about how we work, Adam, I like say it's like Adam is the train and he's rolling down the tracks. And I'm trying to lay down the tracks in front of him as the train rolls. And there's no time to like stop and second guess yourself. Like once you're happy with a page, it's like, all right, don't even look at it again. Once you've wrote something down, it's like, okay, you can like review it once and move on. And you have to be happy with what you're working on because there's no time to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Frankie, one of the things that, I wanted to ask you in terms of the script, did you have this all written out and you were just releasing pages at a time, or were you, working on the script and then giving those pages once they were done for Adam to do to get out on the Patreon? Because, I've talked to some writers who are still making like significant lettering changes during the lettering pass. And I'm like, well, the way this is working, you guys aren't really getting an opportunity to do anything like that. Is that the case, or how did that work in terms of the the script?
Thankfully, Adam letters his own work. That makes it easier because I do a final lettering pass. Like when he does the pages, which is great, he'll pencil everything out and then he'll like hand write the word balloons in, like, so you can see what it's going to look like. And that allows me to kind of hopefully do a lettering pass before he goes in and does the lettering. And sometimes still afterwards he does it. And then I have to say like, oh, let's take this out. Like this reads clunky now that I've seen it for the 80th time. The way that it works is I write everything on my phone. I don't have a laptop or anything. So I work out of a Google Doc. And at the start of the project, I send Adam the Google Doc and I'm like, all right, here's the Google Doc. At the beginning of it, there might be like, a cast of characters with character descriptions, an outline that is super, super loose that might have the whole script's outline in there. It might not. Some sections might be more outlined than others, but typically like once we're kind of getting ready to go, I'll have like, let's say the first, I don't know, up to 10 pages scripted. And I'll say like, all right, here's this. And then I'll start, working, but then it really does become like, okay, as he's sending stuff, I'm trying to stay in front of him. So like right now, we're, I think 20 pages into the story that we have like as a cushion built up, and I'm scripting like the 4 pages in front of it as we go, basically. Like, so we're just going to keep working that way. Cause I think it keeps everything moving with a sense of urgency, in the writing. And I think in how we deliver the story, like you said, lean and mean, you don't have a lot of time to fluff things out. If you're sitting there going like, okay, Adam's getting ready to thumb the next 4 pages. Like, let's get the next 4 pages ready for him.
Adam, is there like what's the, particular type of challenge in rolling out, a story like this? Like, are there times when you look back on it where it's like, oh, if I had known what was going to happen in chapter 5, I might have done something differently in chapter 1. Do those types of thoughts plague you more so than, if you got the whole script and you started into it?
No, because even if I had the whole script, I've never read that far ahead on anything I've ever worked on. And a lot of that is because I've worked with writers who do a similar thing where they're not writing the full scripts ahead of time. I'll get pages kind of as we go. So it's just, to me, it's just easier. I don't know. It kind of keeps it almost like fresh. Like I know the story, I know where it's going, but not the details of it.
Right.
But if I do something and it doesn't fit with what's supposed to happen later, Frankee will let me know. So it's not really any worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. And I sense, at this point in time, your collaboration between the two of you has to be, pretty tight, having worked on so many different projects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's where Adam will like add stuff in, like I'll script the page out and then Adam will add something in that I didn't even think about. I said it before, Adam, before you hopped on. I consider you like my comic making soulmate, basically. Like there's times where like I'll send like pages over and then you'll send pages back. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like you like read my mind without like even knowing what I was thinking about. Like our sensibilities are very enmeshed, which works really well.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same thing. Yeah.
So for Who Killed Sarah
Easy
Shaw,
scripts to work from. So
What was that,
oh,
Adam?
that's good.
no, I just said they're very easy scripts to work from. They're very not demanding. Not an Alan Moore script. I'll say that.
No. My directions are, I feel like a lot of times it's like he enters a room, or he unless I have a very specific idea, I like to let, whenever I work with any artist, like I like to let them dictate a lot of what the shots are going to look like, unless I have, again, super specific ideas. I'm more concerned with like, again, tweaking dialogue and making sure the dialogue is exactly how I want it.
And so now I think Frankee, you had mentioned with Who Killed Sarah Shaw that it, if anyone missed the Kickstarter, is going to be an opportunity that it's going to be, at your local bookstore.
Yeah, that's where we're waiting for Dauntless to finalize that next part of it. They have it almost ready to go for Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And then after that happens, I assume this would be like at this point, probably sometime in 2026. And then we're going to hopefully also have versions available for local comic shops and stuff like that, but that'll be later in 2026. So fingers crossed it's coming soon. I don't have any like specific dates or anything, but it sounds like we're almost there. We're like at the final lap.
Awesome. All right. So now let's talk about the newest project. I just want to make sure I get the title right. I Just Came From Hell. And you're going to be, I think, doing the same thing. You're going to be rolling it out on Adam's Patreon for folks that are supporters of the Patreon.
Yep. Yeah. It's currently running. I think we just dropped, what was it, Adam? Page 13 today on the Patreon.
13, I think. Yeah. I think
Join
so.
on.
Good splash page.
Right. Yeah. Splash page. Yeah. It's a great page. So what is it? $2 a month. Then you get to, join on, you get 13 pages automatically. And then right now we're trying to stick to 2 pages a week as our drop rate, outside of like if we do a splash page, the splash page will be like its own singular thing. Because usually the ones we have so far are worth like singling out and having their own thing. But yeah, it's all through Patreon.
Yeah.
Run it until the story's done.
Awesome. So listeners, I'll have a link in the show notes to Adam's Patreon. And yeah, the Who Killed Sarah Shaw is fantastic. I loved Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, and so I can't wait to see what you do with I Just Came From Hell. But for listeners, we talked a lot about your process. For listeners who aren't familiar, Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood is a couple goes to see the husbands or soon-to-be husbands, I can't remember if they're married or engaged, in-laws, and he's kind of estranged from them, and that was probably a good idea, that he was estranged, not that they go and visit, and I'll leave that one at that. And then Who Killed Sarah Shaw, Jess and Dave.
It's a heartwarming tale.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Very heartwarming. And Who Killed Sarah Shaw, if you don't know, listeners, Jess and Dave, they have like they're part of a true crime podcast network. They're investigating a 40-year-old cold case, and Frankie's now been replaced by a cat on the podcast. And they go to investigate this cold case in this small town of Hard Ground, and as they investigate and they learn more about these folks and more about Sarah Shaw, and like the mystery kind of unravels. It's fantastic. And so now I Just Came From Hell, which I haven't seen everything, just a couple of preview pages. This is, I guess, a kind of a follow-up to Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood. And why don't you kind of tell listeners, what this is all about?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a double sequel. So Jess and Dave are still our main characters. We're following up what their, story is post Who Killed Sarah Shaw, how the end of that case sort of impacted their lives and what their next, case will be, what they're going to cover. And what that is basically is the fallout of Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood. There's basically, the story of this woman who exits this swamp in Devil's Guard in Florida, completely naked and covered in blood. And when she comes out, she's basically catatonic, doesn't want to speak to anybody, and then becomes a recluse and lives in this town. Well, if you're an investigator, it's a pretty juicy story to start going after. And so they decide to go and do this story. The big twist for readers who read Who Killed Sarah Shaw is that this time around, Jess is 8 months pregnant. So we're putting her in a position where she's traveling across the country to do this strenuous case while about to give birth, and her partner, Dave, gives her basically 3 days. Dave is very much, if you've read Who Killed Sarah Shaw, he's the grounded, no-nonsense one, and Jess is the, I don't want to call her idealistic, but like she basically will do whatever it takes to get the story. And he's basically saying, we got 3 days to get this story because I didn't even want to come here in the first place.
Is this, and from the preview pages I've seen, this is going to be more along the lines, at least visually, and maybe Adam, you can talk about this, visually like Who Killed Sarah Shaw? Because my recollection from Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood is it was in a particular like format, 3 panels. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the idea. Was that it was a movie aspect ratio so it was 3 panels per page, and they were all the same size, so it had kind of this widescreen look, like because Frankie and I are both huge like horror movie nerds, so that was the idea with that. Who Killed Sarah Shaw was just that was just done as like a regular comic book. So, but yeah, it's similar in style. It's a little different enough where it's not just repeating what I did, but it's still that kind of gray tones comic book look.
Mm-hmm. And I like to say that Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood is the movie adaptation of the real life story of what happened to Lisa and her fiance. John in that story. So it's giving us a little bit of leeway in adding additional elements, because Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood is basically like a graphic novella. It's 52 pages, I believe. It's a little bit on the shorter end. So this is allowing us to kind of flesh that story out a little bit more, add some more details, maybe change some things. It gives us a wider path, to tell the story.
I like that idea that it, because you did it in that particular format, and Adam just said it kind of came from the fact that the two of you love horror films, and it was kind of very cinematic. So to say that it's like the movie adaptation and give yourself some freedom to kind of dig into some other aspects of it, I love that. Adam, do you prefer to work like in any type of particular like format? Like, did you enjoy doing something like Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, or does it not matter to you?
I mean, I enjoyed that because it was a part of that was sort of me, because when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a film director, and so that was sort of me, like, in a weird way, getting that chance. But at the same time, I got to the end of it, I'm like, I kind of like being able to use smaller panels if I want, have, design elements on the page and in terms of the layout. I don't know if I'd want to do it again. I think I prefer doing just regular comic books.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead, Frankie.
That format, I agree with Adam. It's a fun challenge to try and tell a story like that, to work. Basically it's 3 panels every page. You have to kind of really strip your story down. It's not a lot of real estate. I like to approach like all of my scripts. There's like a structure puzzle element to it that I like to add that makes it fun. Like, so Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, the 3-panel page format was fun to work in for that project. And like Adam said, I don't think I'd ever want to do that again because it was difficult to do. But like, even with like Who Killed Sarah Shaw, we knew from the start it was going to be 5 chapters, and every chapter was going to be, its own, focused on its own suspect, basically. And then also leaning into the narrative of, what's truth. You have to break down everyone's story. So there's no, text and flashbacks. Like when people are telling their story, it's always narration. You never get any like, there's never a moment where like you're back in the 80s and one of the characters verbally says something where you can see it as a word balloon, because that's fact, right? That would be like what's actually happening. So you're only seeing the visuals, and that's someone recollecting stuff. So trying to do that in every comic I write is like creating a little puzzle like to solve, to make it fun and interesting to script, besides just trying to tell a compelling story, which is number one.
Speaking of that, with going back and going, back and forth between the two, timelines in Who Killed Sarah Shaw, is that type of continuity difficult or particularly challenging for you at all, Adam, when you're switching back, back and forth between characters and what they looked like 40 years before?
No. And part of that is because I had this idea of I wanted it to be the most realistic looking comic I did. So I actually cast all of the characters, and I picked, for anyone who was going to be in both time periods, I picked somebody who was acting when they were a certain age in the 80s and then would be around now.
Oh, that's
and they had a lot of photo reference.
Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, that's great. Do you tell me some of the folks that you picked? Who's the first one that they interview? Is that Tiffany? Do you remember who you cast for Tiffany?
Yeah, that's I'm probably gonna butcher her name. Machen Amick from Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She played Shelley on Twin Peaks. Yeah. Although I put weight on her for the present day stuff.
I don't know why I didn't even think
Sarah
of that.
Shaw is pretty obviously. Sarah Shaw is pretty obviously her Langdon camp from Nightmare on Elm Street. Very few people have picked up on that too, and I'm like, I think I kind of made that obvious, but I haven't had that one called out a lot.
Oh no, that's great. That is absolutely fantastic.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Y'all, Jimmy, the Chaos Goblin, strikes again. I should have known better than to mention I was working on my DC Universe meets Ravenloft hybrid D&D campaign on social media. My bad. He goes and tags a bunch of comics creators we know, and now I have to get it in gear and whip this campaign into shape so we can start playing. Another friend chimes in, "Are you going to make maps?" It's fair to say it's been a while since I put something together, so I guess? It was then that I discovered ARKENFORGE. If you don't know who ARKENFORGE is, they have everything you need to make your TTRPG more fun and immersive, allowing you to build, play, and export animated maps, including in-person fog of war capability that lets your players interact with maps as the adventure unfolds while you, the DM, get the full picture. Now I'm set to easily build high-res animated maps, saving myself precious time and significantly adding nuance to our campaign. That's a win every day in my book. Check them out at ARKENFORGE.com and use the discount code YETI5 to get $5 off. I'll drop a link in the show notes for you, and big thanks to ARKENFORGE for partnering with our show. I think I'm going to make Jimmy play a Goblin Warlock just to get even. Welcome back.
What are you most looking forward to, Adam, with revisiting part of the story and the world from Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood? Is there anything in particular?
I mean, it's horror stuff. I love doing horror stuff. So, and I don't think I've done horror in a while. So that's kind of it. I like I'm getting to draw Lisa again. I like drawing Lisa. She was a lot of fun. I've had a couple good pages with her so far.
Yeah, awesome.
But also getting kind of that alternate, because since the idea is that the Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood was the movie version, getting to do kind of this alternate, playing around with what I did before and not have it. It doesn't have to match up, but I can kind of play with that and see what I can do to make that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely has to be a certain freedom to that. Do you have yet, Frankee, in terms of the how far out this story is, or how long this story is going to be? Is it going to be a similar 5-chapter like Who Killed Sarah Shaw, or I Just Came from Hell?
Yeah, this one's a little different. So the structure for this one is going to be like a 3-day format. And the days are, they'll all have to be kind of similar in length, I would imagine, because days are all similar in length in real life. But it's going to be structured like, so instead of it being 5 chapters, it'll be like, you remember Majora's Mask, Zelda, the dawn of the 3rd day, like before in that game there, the moon is about to crash into the earth, and every day, like a title card appears, and it's like the dawn of the 3rd day, the dawn of the 2nd day. So it's kind of like that, where it'll be like, basically day 1, day 2, day 3, and that'll be how it's structured. So it'll be 3 chapters like that. It won't be 5 individual character based chapters. So we're gonna do that. Lengthwise, pretty loosey goosey. I'd like it to be longer than Who Killed Sarah Shaw, just because we're already, script wise, we're 24 pages in and we're barely scratching the surface of like where we want to go with the story. But that can change. The way I script and have outlines, there, sometimes you start writing and the outline goes by the wayside because you're in the zone with a certain character doing a certain thing, and then all of a sudden you look at your outline, you're like, oh, I had him doing this, which was going to affect this, but now we're doing something totally different, and so that can change. So, I would say at minimum it'll be the same length as Who Killed Sarah Shaw, which was 120 pages. But if we can, if fortune favors us and people are subscribing and the process is going well and nobody falls and breaks their shoulder again, or I don't fall there again, like we hopefully we'll be able to do it and keep making it until we hit where we hit a good point where we feel like we told a compelling story.
I'm working on it right now.
Ooh.
Right this second I'm actually penciling right now.
Insider scoop.
Yeah.
Page
22 in progress.
Oh, that's pretty exciting. Frankee, I just wanted to, before we end tonight, I don't want to forget to talk a little bit about Horror Not Hate. Can you tell me about that anthology that you're a part of? From what I understand, it's going to be on Kickstarter. I think it's a 200-page collection of stories. I've seen some of the folks that are involved, fantastic writers, fantastic artists. Any proceeds are going to go to either the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights and the Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund. So can you just tell me a little bit more about, that and your involvement? And yeah.
Yeah, so that was started by J.M. Brandt. He asked, he reached out to me a while back, asked if I had availability to do a short for that anthology. And I mean, it's awesome. When he pitched it to me, he's like, it's an anti-fascist, anti-authoritarian horror anthology. I was like, don't say any, like, say less. I'm already in. That's perfect. Like, like that's what the stories are all themed around and everything, which is a fun, horror space to work in. Um, I just have it's a small 4-page story in there. I worked with an artist named Vasilis, and then I'm gonna butcher his name, Tom Napolitano, did the lettering
No,
for
you
it.
got it.
Um,
You got it. You nailed it.
and the page is already done. Looks amazing. They did both like an incredible job on it. Like you said, it's like a murderer's row of creators on it. Like there's so many talented people. Um, And then on top of it being not just an anthology, I'd found out recently that it's also like part art gallery too. So there's tons of pinups from other artists that aren't doing stories but are contributing pieces to it. Um, it's something I'm really excited, for more people to see. JM's been doing a great job coordinating behind the scenes and making sure, you know, getting the word out. Everyone's been trying to pitch in and promote it wherever they can, whether that's just posting or sharing other people's posts, things like that. It feels like it's been a real team effort from an anthology of creators, who aren't, we're not like working to, we're not working together, but we're working together, which is a lot for an anthology. I think, some of the other ones I've been a part of, like, you do your piece and then you just are like, all right, like I'm done. Let me know when the book's out. Right. Like, but this one
Yeah.
does a nice little coalition feel to it of like, we're all in, on making sure the book's as successful as it can be.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, I'll have a link to that as well in the show notes, so listeners can check that out. I'm a big fan of anthologies. I know they have their moments on Kickstarter, but I just think it's a great way to get a ton of stories for usually a really great price. It's also awesome that this one, is for charity as well. And yeah, it's just ridiculous, some of the names of writers and artists in horror not hate. So that's pretty cool. I know we're in December now. We're getting ready for the holiday season, but since both of you are big horror fans, I was just curious. Anything that you saw, recently, or that you have a tendency to revisit or are watching right now that you're enjoying?
I watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein recently. I thought that was actually very good.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard good things.
Well, I'm not,
So
and I should say I'm not. I like him, but I have problems with a lot of his movies. But this one really works for me.
oh, cool.
I want to check that out. I just love that cast. The cast in that movie.
The cast is great in it.
For me, one that I saw this year that I've been yelling at everyone to watch is Bring Her Back, which is by the directors who made Talk to Me. It's a 24 movie. Awesome performance. Speaking of Del Toro, Sally Hawkins is the lead in that. She's in his Oscar-winning Shape of Water movie. Very, very good. Very traumatic. There's we saw it in theaters back in March when it came out. It was a packed theater, and there were some moments where like the whole theater like was screaming and squirming in their seats, which is a fun experience because there's not very many movies now that like get that theatrical, kind of squirming in your seats moment. For a movie that at this time of year, easy, classic, must watch in December is Black Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. 1974, that and Texas Chainsaw, basically the first two slasher movies in my mind, came out the same year. It's like a sorority house slasher movie, but just extra creepy, spine tingling chills. Wonderful performances in it. But my favorite fun fact about it, and it's something I also tell anyone that will listen to me, it's directed by the guy, Bob Clark, who directed A Christmas Story. Ralphie, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, that movie. So,
Oh, yeah.
so I love,
And it's way better.
I love that movie. No, I love that movie, Adam.
Well,
So
I don't like Christmas Story, so
I grew up every year it's on 24/7 on TBS or whatever. So like when I was growing up, my dad would always put it on and we watch it and just leave it on in the background. So every year for me, it's like a mandatory double feature. I put them both on. So I'll watch A Christmas Story and have a lighthearted, haha, family Christmas movie, and then follow it up with one of the most disturbing horror movies I've ever watched.
And I was just looking him up because I wasn't too familiar with. I mean, I'm familiar with A Christmas Story and Black Christmas. I didn't realize that they were directed by the same person.
Yeah, he also did Porky's.
Yeah, I was just going to say that he directed Black. Yeah, so Black Christmas is first in '74, but yeah, then he does a couple of movies that I've never heard of. He does three films, and then Porky's 2. He does Porky's 2 and Christmas Story the same year.
Yep. He was for hire. He worked on everything, which so when you go through his IMDb, it looks like a fever dream.
Yeah. But you know what? I am fascinated by this. He followed up Christmas Story the next year by doing Rhinestone, the Sylvester Stallone Dolly Parton movie.
That was him?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yes.
He's done seriously, Adam, go look up it's crazy. It's a who's who of he did that.
Yeah. So all right. Well, Bob Clark, may he rest in peace. But yeah, he had a crazy run in the 70s and 80s. All right, so Black Christmas. Frankie's also going to watch A Christmas Story. Adam's not. What does it annoys you about Christmas Story, Adam?
Well, I don't want to get too into it because he's got memories tied to it, but I hate the kid and I hate the narration, and honestly, I hate everything kind of in it. But Darren McGavin, he's the only part of it I really like.
Yeah, I do like Darren McGavin too.
I was always partial. I didn't see it until I was in middle school and they showed it to the school, and I was just wasn't into it. And then for years I had people say, oh, it's because of where you watched it. You need to watch it again. I didn't see it again until I was probably 20. And I was just yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah, but Adam, you're an incredibly stubborn individual. I think once you could have been 8 years old, and once you made up your mind on something when you were 8, you were like, nope, that's it forever.
I mean, that's possible, but I don't know. There are other movies that come around on. That's not one of them.
I was never into A Christmas Story as a kid growing up. I've come around on it recently, mainly because my father-in-law likes it. So every time we go over there for Christmas, it's always on. So I've seen it a bunch, and it has grown on me, somewhat. But I mean, my kids are 13 and 8, so usually at Christmas I'm just watching whatever it is they watch. But we did recently. We did last year. I finally introduced them to Christmas Vacation, which I've always enjoyed. So
that's one of my favorites. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that was always great. And then I haven't. They're still a little. My wife says they're still a little young, but we just Thanksgiving, and every Thanksgiving I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh yeah,
because
great movie.
That's just.
I think they're up in.
I think I was probably 7 or 8 when I first saw that.
My wife tells me all the time though that we're not showing them things based upon when I watched it.
That honestly, that's fair.
That's true because I was also 7 when I saw RoboCop. So
I was
yeah,
I saw first for the first.
I'm pretty sure I saw RoboCop at when's RoboCop out? 88, 89, or is it later?
No, I think it's 87.
Yeah, it might have been a little earlier. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because I saw RoboCop shortly after it was out. I believe that was one of the movies that my dad brought home a bootleg of. But yeah, 87. So I was 9 when RoboCop came out. So I saw it at 9 or maybe 10. But yeah.
I was blessed to have an aunt who my mom was very oh, you can't parental advisory on a CD. You can't have it, R-rated, definitely can't watch it, things like that. And I had an aunt that thankfully was the exact opposite. So I'd go over there to sleep over and hang out with my cousins. And that's where I saw Akira for the first time as an 8-year-old, Army of Darkness, 13 Ghosts, Scream, just all these movies that a child maybe shouldn't watch, but I think it worked out for the best. I think it shaped me.
Probably.
Shaped me.
It's always nice to have a family member like that. I remember the first time I slept over my uncle's house and my cousin Ray, my uncle Ray, my cousin Ray at the time was like 8 years younger than me. So he was a little kid. I think maybe still a toddler, and I was probably 10, 11, maybe 12 at the most. And my uncle was just like, my dad was always into Bruce Lee films and karate, and my uncle was like, "Hey, your dad likes this stuff." And I think we watched a Steven Seagal marathon. Like I was probably 12, and we just went like Hard to Kill, Above the Law, Marked for Death, and Out for Justice. Just like spend a day.
Oh man.
I mean, as a young kid that liked any kind of movie, I was just like, Steven Seagal is the best there's ever going to be, you know?
It's never gonna be better than him.
I had a lot of strong opinions at 12, you know? Well, Adam, is there anything else that you're, working on or you want listeners to check out? And I'll put a link in the show notes to your Patreon so they can all click onto that.
Yeah, well, it's there anyway. I've got another comic I'm working on myself called Trenchcoat Samurai.
Okay.
Frankie's actually kind of helped me a bit. He's been the editor sort of on it. But it's, I'm writing it, I'm drawing it. It's sort of a neo-noir-ish story of a mysterious modern-day samurai who ends up in a affluent town in Connecticut, and he's there searching for something. He thinks he sees like an ancient evil kind of present there. So he's kind of looking, he's trying to find it. And he comes across, there's like a police officer that he becomes entangled with. And it's just sort of his little adventures in this town.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds great. So listeners, check that out as well. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have links so they can find all this stuff. And we'll keep an eye out for Who Killed Sarah Shaw for anybody that hasn't picked it up yet. But yeah, I'm excited for I Just Came From Hell. And one other thing I wanted to mention, because Adam, this is the first time I think you and I have ever spoken, but you had done a commission for me. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like 3 years ago at this point, where I had something that I still am thinking about doing, where the main character is an anthropomorphic capybara. And so 3 years ago you did
Marty
like
McFly
my favorite.
one, yeah.
You did like what my favorite. It's a capybara dressed like Marty McFly standing in front of the DeLorean. It's like one of my absolute favorite things that I have.
That was a fun drawing to do. I loved that.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. So I had an idea for like I love anthropomorphic animals that people aren't typically anthropomorphized. So I have this comic idea about a team book, and the leader is a capybara who's obsessed with the 80s. And so I had one friend of mine who drew him like Don Johnson in Miami Vice, and then I saw Adam had done something that I saw on social media. I'm like, oh, Adam would be perfect. And yeah, knocked it out of the park. It's one of my favorite comic things that I own, the capybara as Marty McFly. So thank you, Adam. Just wanted to say that's one of my favorites.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun to do. I loved it. Back to the Future is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, we just showed my girls that for the first time over this past weekend.
Oh, nice.
We all sat down as a family and watched Back to the Future, and my 13-year-old, she loved it. She actually really enjoyed it, so I was excited about it. It takes a lot to get like them to watch something I'm interested in, but I watched the new season of Stranger Things with her, so that was the trade-off. She had to watch Back to the Future with me, so and both of us very happy. Both of us were very happy. I enjoyed the new season. So
the new season's crazy. They just throw stuff at you the whole time. There's no thing in the new season. No Stranger Things.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten into it yet. So
yeah, no spoilers. I will say that I did really like it. I just thought it was kind of like all over the place, and I feel like the writers had come up with some things that they thought would sound fun, and then they worked towards those things, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying myself.
Yep. Just all along for the ride. See how it ends.
Yeah. All right. Well, Frankee, Adam, thank you so much for coming on the podcast tonight. Listeners, there'll be links in the show notes so you can follow both Frankee and Adam on social media, especially Adam's Patreon. You're going to be able to check out I Just Came From Hell, and check out Trenchcoat Samurai. I love everything that the two of them have done, and if you can find it out there, Broken Bear, Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, Who Killed Sarah Shaw. They're fantastic comics. You're not going to be disappointed. So yeah, check it all out. So Frankee and Adam, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and shout out to my brother Bobby, the Cryptid Creator Corner's #1 most dedicated fan. Bobby listens to all my episodes. Hey Bob, how you doing? And yeah, rate and review us and do all those things that they tell you to do for podcasts. It really does help if you like what you hear. We're over 400 episodes on the podcast. And also, just my own little plug. It was recently announced that my first graphic novel with paper cuts and artist Amber Aiken is going to be out in April. So you can follow me on Blue Sky, and you can pre-order that. That would be kind of you. It's an all ages book. It's called Penny and the Yeti, and I think you'll like it. I hope so. If you have kids, they'll probably really like it. So yeah. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Good night.
This is Byron O'Neill, one of your hosts of the Cryptid Creator Corner, brought to you by Comic Book Yeti. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of our podcast. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. It lets us know how we're doing, and more importantly, how we can improve. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Cryptid Creator Corner, maybe you would enjoy our sister podcast, Into the Comics Cave. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.